That's right, 2020. Off you pop, you malodorous, feculent dickhead. Happy New Year, everyone. May your year be filled with joy, 2 vaccinations, and a bit more bloody social contact than the last 10 hellhole months. While the world isn't magically better, gosh, it seems slightly easier to see the horizon from this side of New Year's Eve. And falling in line with that degree of positivity, let's talk about the very best of the best of the best wrestling matches from the last 12 months. Proof that even as we're burying its stamped-on remains in its shallow grave, there were still 1 or 2 moments of happiness from 2020. Now look, I haven't put the Firefly Funhouse on this list because I've literally talked about it in like 4 other videos, and I guess it's not technically a wrestling match, but just know it's my big avant-garde sweetheart, then, now, forever. That being said, I'm Adam Blampied, and these are my 10 favorite wrestling matches of 2020. Number 10, the Women's War Games match, TakeOver War Games. What fun! 8 crazy bastards having a crazy bastard fight atop a burning volcano. Larks. It's been a fairly rocky year for NXT. They felt the absence of their keenly vocal fan base perhaps more than any other promotion outside AEW this year, and as such the no fans takeovers haven't really felt like takeovers. Thankfully, that all changed at TakeOver War Games, one of the best nights in recent memory for the black and gold. Both War Games matches were brilliant. Yui versus Afi was better from a storyline perspective, but I simply have to give it to the women's match. Why? Because it had Io Shirai getting in a bin and jumping from the top of the cage. An instant meme, one of my favorite spots of the year, and I can't remember the last time I was watching wrestling and I came dangerously close to laughing up my kidneys. The match itself was bonkers, a narratively threadbare spot fest, but between Shotzi's new tank, the genius of the bins, the eclipse onto steel chairs, which is a huge and wonderful yikes, and the shock win by Raquel Gonzalez, it's just the funnest wrestling has been for a big old while. Number 9, Kyle O'Reilly versus Finn Balor, TakeOver 31. I mean, yes, it was a shame when Kyle O'Reilly performed amateur carpentry with his fucking knee on Finn Balor's jawbone, because it meant a rushed, slightly deflating finish to a match that could have shot straight to my top 3. Simply put, both men needed a match like this. Finn's chance to prove that he could be a completely different type of NXT champion from his dress-up based first go, and Kyle O'Reilly being secretly one of the best in the world for a hot minute. Before the injury, they did not disappoint, scraping the paint off each other with vicious strikes, laser-focused ring psychology, and submissions for days. Balor strumming Kyle's arm across his big old penis was a particular highlight. Even with the rushed ending, Finn Balor's grotesquely swollen jaw, and Steve Saxon is running with the Law, it was a star-making turn for O'Reilly and a champion-cementing turn for Balor. Number 8, Imperium versus Undisputed Era Worlds Collide. Weirdly, this is a match where an injury might have actually made it better. I mean, obviously you never want an injury, but shortly into Bunch of Pricks Aluminum versus Bunch of Pricks Aluminium, Alexander Wolf is knocked out by a kick from Bobby Fish. WWE immediately remove him from the match, and suddenly it looks like the entire thing is about to careen over a cliff. Somehow though, some way though, they pulled it off. Not just a good match, but it built to a match of the year candidate. Instant stakes, as well as shifting the match from heel versus heel to injuring bastards versus underdogs. The match received a super dose of crowd electricity, with Yui becoming a skulk of jackals, picking apart Eichner and Bartel before their insane elephant dad tags in and Thanoses the Yui to their constituent limbs amid thunderous applause. Yes, there are some moments of awkwardness in the match, some gaps where the remaining 7 men are scrambling to plan out a match more or less on the fly, but for how it could have fallen apart, a match of this quality is damn near miracle work. Number 7, the Broserweights versus Undisputed Era TakeOver Portland. And so ends the Kyle O'Reilly Does the Best Wrestling in 2020 trilogy. Well done, Kyle. You get to take anything you want from the sweetie jar. This match had Pete Dunne, Matt Riddle, and Red f***ing Dragon in it. Just so many excellent kicks. Frankly, if this hadn't been match of the night, the universe would have performed an illegal operation, would have had to been shut down. At TakeOver Portland, Fish and O'Reilly defended their straps against Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. The Broserweight, though I still contend that a tag team consisting of a stoner and a Brit should have been called High Society. Dunne and Riddle surprised the wrestling world with their comedic chemistry and their fluidity as a technically savage unit. However, what really makes the match sing is the persistent doubt that hangs over the result. A lot of people thought the Broserweights were only put together so they could break up and feud, and the match toys with that expectation brilliantly. There are so many amazingly executed false finishes where the Broserweights accidentally collide and Yui nearly puts them away over and over. It's just a breathless chase to an explosive finish. This match also proved to be something of a last hurrah for the NXT tag titles, which have for some reason not been defended on TakeOver since. A great shame, because tag team wrestling used to be one of NXT's strongest assets. success, due in no small part to Undisputed Era, possibly the greatest wrestling faction of all time. Number 6, Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns, Clash of Champions. God bless heel Roman Reigns. For years, fans have been begging for the big dog to turn, and at SummerSlam, the unthinkable finally happened, and we can all feel very pleased with ourselves because yes, heel Roman is going to be the biggest star in the whole industry. Told you so. No, but seriously, Reigns is doing the work of his life right now, bringing unironic villainy and earnest emotion back to the forefront of mainstream wrestling. We've had wrestling matches, cinematic matches, but Reigns seems to be mastering the cinematic wrestling match, a style of minimum graps, maximum feels that actually flourishes without fans. Yeah, this style of wrestling can feel very, very scripted. There's a lot of talking in it, but so far, Reigns has had the sheer charisma to pull it off, helped in no small part by a genius singles promotion of Jey Uso. Their match at Hell in a Cell was really good, but their best work was undoubtedly Clash of Champions. Reigns' first proper match as cemented top heel, Jey Uso an unknown quantity as a main eventer, and it's got one of the most interesting and organic backstories going into a title match in recent memory. Hype was off the charts for it, and they matched it. For those of you who prefer your wrestling festooned with kickouts, I can see why you might not like it, but for those of us who likes our wrestling Shakespearean as it was the best surprise of the year. The big dog is dead. Long live the tribal chief. Number 5, Sasha Banks versus Bayley, Hell in a Cell. Goodness, it's been a good year for women's cage matches. While the payoff to the storyline of Sasha and Bayley as the world's sussest best friends may have felt a little bit rushed, 6 months of tease to 1 month of feud feels a little lopsided, but hey, if this is the only pay-per-view match these two are gonna get, they did it good. Sasha Banks is one of the best sells of her generation, and that was on full display in a carnival of inventive violence that just managed to keep topping itself and kept pushing Sasha's poor spine to its breaking point. Thank you, Sasha. Sasha and Bayley not only have amazing physical chemistry, but have revolved around each other for years, building a friendship steeped in itself. So much so that whenever they get together, there's always so much rich narrative texture. Not only did they play off their run as the golden role models, but there were callbacks as far as their iconic clash at TakeOver Brooklyn. Between this and her match against Becky Lynch at last year's Hell in a Cell, Sasha Banks might just be the MVP of PG-rated cell matches. Also, Bayley's one of the greatest characters going right now. Put together, they made magic. Just a shame that WWE seems to have gotten bored of Bayley almost immediately afterwards. Number 4, Kota Ibushi versus Kazuchika Okada, Wrestle Kingdom 14, Night 1. I'm not going to pretend I'm New Japan's biggest fan or that I keep up with every last narrative wrinkle. That would be Tempest's job. But I'll always have a Butchers at Wrestle Kingdom. Their version of WrestleMania happens every January. Invariably, there is a match of the year somewhere on the card, and this year was no different, with an absolute eye-watering belter between Kota Ibushi and IWGP champion Kazuchika Okada. Oh, it's good, lads. Going into the show, Okada had been the ace of New Japan for a while, to the point where it felt like there was a change in the guard brewing, and Kota Ibushi has been on the verge of superstardom for a while. He's one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, but never seems to win the big one at Wrestle Kingdom, at least when he's not wearing a tiger mask. While it's still not Ibushi's time, there's another star who's been very patient in waiting his turn to be crowned the man in New Japan. Ibushi's ambition is the backbone of this match. Ibushi has wrestled blow-up dolls and other goofy stuff in the past, but there's a psychopath just below the surface, and at some point in the match, he just quietly, scarily goes insane. No selling Okada's offense and just punching the blue hell out of him. It's captivating stuff, punctuated by the usual New Japan brutal ballet of gorgeous strong style. It also has another spot of the year candidate with Okada jumping into a leaping Golden Star bomb, which is just perfection. Number 3, the Men's Rumble, Royal Rumble. Royal Rumbles are bloody brilliant. Mostly they are. 15 years ago, in January 2020, WWE produced a bloody stormer of a Rumble. Now, I've made no secret of the fact that I think Brock Lesnar, when he puts on his working boots, is the best thing going. At the Royal Rumble, he put on his working boots and fed them to half the roster. Part slobber knocker challenge from the SmackDown video games, part This Is Your Life segment, Brock murdered his way through his own past before being bodied by his future in the form of instant superstar Drew McIntyre. When Brock Von tripped his way over the ropes, it was one of the most satisfyingly built pops of the last few years. And then, of course, you think you know him. While it may not top 2018 in terms of overall structure and payoff and pacing, the 2020 Men's Rumble was a shining example of why, fuck Christmas, the Rumble is the most wonderful time of the year. Brock versus Keith Lee is my new happy place. Number 2, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov, NXT UK. Sweet Jesus. It was pretty much a coin flip between this and my number 1, but I'll explain my choice when we get to the top spot. Like, at some point along the line, someone straight up forgot to tell Walter that wrestling wasn't real, and that's created this jaw-dropping hybrid monster of modern stunt work and old-school strongman era spectacle. Simply put, Walter will chop you so hard you'll forget how to love, and he spends 30 minutes, killing Ilya Dragunov on free bloody television. And to be fair, it takes two to tango. Dragunov matches Walter blow for blow, turning in an underdog performance that feels more genuine than possibly any I've ever seen, probably because Walter didn't really give him a choice in the matter. Brutal is an overused buzzword, but that's what this match truly is, with every slap, stamp, and suplex sending a visceral jolt of electricity through your body, knocking you around on your seat, daring you to keep watching. It's a marquee event, a match that managed to become water cooler conversation even in the most saturated market, and hell, even the lack of fans somehow worked in its favor, turning it into a bizarre, sordid snuff film, the kind you'd buy from a man underneath a railway arch, so I'm told anyway. Do I want all wrestling to be this? No, I don't, but am I happy that special attractions can still exist in a company that often feels quite samey from an in-ring perspective? Absolutely. And number one, Kenny Omega and Adam Page versus the Young Bucks AEW Revolution. For uniqueness' sake, perhaps Walter and Dragunov should be number one, but damn it, I just miss crowds. I miss genuine pops. I miss the thunder of feet. I miss the noise that only comes around every so often at the perfect spot. I miss the sound of Kenny Omega kicking out at one because he's so very angry at his best friends. Spot of the year, hands down. But the whole match is amazing, with all the intricate choreography you come to expect from a Bucks production, the devastating strikes you come to expect from Mr. Omega, and the soulful, sad eyes that you come to expect from the Hangman. The story beats don't overpower the dazzling offense, but they're there and serve to make this such a rich experience. Makes every slap more pointed, every super kick more of a you, and every kick out way more meaningful. Between this and the wealth of phenomenal AEW Tag Team Championship matches this year, as well as that parking lot fight between Proud and Powerful and Best Friends, AEW has conclusively deposed NXT as the king of tag team wrestling. And that is our list. What were your favorite matches of 2020? Let us know, and don't forget to like and share this video around, and make sure you subscribe to WrestleTalk for amazing news and lists. Happy New Year, everyone, and jam that jam.